Welcome into Mic Check, the show where the podcast hosts become the podcast guest. I'm Vince Stover, here to dig into the personalities behind Belly Up Sports. And today we're going to do a mic check with the host of the 1420 Sports Podcast, Brent Radlinsky. Brent, welcome to Mic Check. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to do this. It's nice to be on the other side and just answer some questions. I don't have to think a whole bunch and just think about my answers. I'm excited for this. This is good.
Well, you are our friend from up north, up in Canada, and so we're expecting to hear some good Canadian jargon today as we discuss different things about yourself. But tell me a little bit about the sports scene up in Canada.
Well, it's a lot different, like in a, not in a bad way or a good way. It's just a lot different. Down the one thing that I've always been really jealous of with the Americans and how you guys do things, how you guys get behind your teams a lot more, whether it be university sports, college sports. Amateur, like the high school stuff, and we don't have that a whole bunch up here. Like we follow our professional sports quite a bit, obviously. Like it's just as big. Like our hockey's big, obviously, and then when the Jays are relevant like they are now, it's out there. But that's always been a thing for me, is how much different the amateur sports world is in comparison. I don't know if you call college sports amateur anymore with the money that they're making, but it's just something that was always, that's kind of what I got into this whole podcast thing a little bit, because there's not a lot of coverage and a lot of talk about the smaller sports and everything else, and that's one thing that I really noticed about that, and the Canadian difference with the American, and that's not just with baseball and football, and it's with hockey as well. How it's not as big for whatever reason. The communities they get behind it a little bit, but nothing like the Americans do. Like I know you're Eastern Kentucky guy and everything, and we just, like, there's a university here in Lethbridge and a college here in Lethbridge, and it just doesn't get a bunch of girlfriends and parents go to the games. That's about it, and it's just a lot different. But in general, like with the pro sports, we get behind and we follow it, and it's the same kind of deal. But as far as university and college sports, it doesn't compare, and it's different for me, because I'll watch anything. I love sports so much, and you just, like, on a Saturday you want to go have a plate of chicken wings and a beer or something, and you figure that there'd be a bunch of people watching a game, and they're just not. Like it's just a lot different, and baseball's so regional, as you know. We get Jays coverage. So not everybody's a Jays fan, but like when the Jays are rolling, then people watch it. But in general, like it's just not a huge thing, because the regionality of baseball. Yeah, it's just a different scene.
That's interesting. So I've got three friends that now are up in the CFL, and in talking to them, it's like they think it's the coolest thing in the world. Like they've never experienced it before until the opportunity came for them. And to them, like they came back telling everybody about how awesome it is to play sports in Canada. But I think it's probably mainly because they're actually getting paid to do it now. And so for them, it's really cool.
That's the thing. You go to some CFL cities, and my parents are huge CFL fans, and there's people who are into it or they're not. And I try every year to really get into it, and I just can't. And I put in my best effort, because Calgary's just up the road, about 2 hours away, and it just doesn't grab onto me. But the places that it does, like you go into Regina, where the Saskatchewan Roughriders play, and it's nuts. Like they absolutely follow that team. It's their only professional team in the province, and it's crazy. And you go to places like into Hamilton, where they got a new building, and Winnipeg, they got a new building on the new, like 5-10 years, whatever it's been. But there's places like right in the cities, they're mad about it. And then places like I said, Edmonton doesn't do that well with their fan base. Toronto, well, you had how many millions of people, and they play in a soccer field that's transformed into a football field. So it just doesn't get the same flex. And the game is fun to watch, and if you do watch a CFL game, it's fast going, and you're down by 16 points with 3 minutes left, you still got a chance. There's no really taking a knee, the way that the game is played. So the game itself is great, but it just doesn't get the push for whatever reason. And sports, and like there's a lot of NFL stuff out there. So it's and I say it a lot, that the NFL is popular because it's popular in a lot of instances, because it's just in your face all the time, and because there's so many teams and the guys come out of college, so you follow them a lot. And it's just not it gets enough people to watch it to keep it relevant, but it just doesn't have a push for whatever reason. It just and it's not a bad product. It just
Right.
doesn't get the push. And for me, it's always been like well, the NFL's different now too. Thursday games, and they throw Friday one in here, and now Saturday. But with the CFL, they have a game on a Tuesday sometimes. Like, what's going on here? So you don't really know when the games are on. Like, it's just one of those odd things. Like, okay, it's on, and it just doesn't get. And now with the NFL being such a global year-round thing, it gets usurped. The CFL just gets eaten up by the NFL, and it's a great product. But like I said, I watch, especially Grey Cup time. Everybody watches the Grey Cup, and it's always a good time. But it just doesn't get the oomph that it deserves to get. And I'm sure your friends who they probably love it, like you said, and because the fans who do get behind it, they're mad about it. Like, they're absolutely crazy about it. Like the Saskatchewan Rough Riders. My dad was a Riders fan, which is weird because he was from Manitoba, so he can be a Winnipeg guy. But it's the watermelons on their heads, and they tailgate for days on end, and it's they put on a heck of a show, and they get big crowds there in Regina, and people from right across the province, they drive to watch the Riders play, and you can. I was in New York once, and there was this person that was wearing a Rough Riders golf shirt. It's before a Yankees game. And it's like, that's kind of weird. That's different. But then you go and talk to them, and you say, where are you from? They say, well, Regina. I said, well, are you actually from Regina, or where are you actually from? And then they said, well, Yorkton. So I said, well, do you know a guy by the name of Daryl Sangster? Like, how? I was like, so it's just funny, like that small town Saskatchewan thing. And they're like, how do you know Daryl Sangster? I said, well, I went to school with him. And it's just how small of whenever a Canadian sees everybody, we're all best friends. Because everybody knows everybody. There's only 30 million people. It's a pretty small country. So it's a lot of fun in that respect. So sports are like, it's a universal. It's a language for sure. It just doesn't get the push for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense because one of the guys plays for the Rough Riders. He's left tackle, and he he's the only one I see any promotion about really from the teams. And there's a team in Toronto, and the other guy plays for I forget who he plays for, but I only see the one guy really getting promoted at all, and it's from the Rough Riders. They're out there on social media, they're doing stuff, they're promoting, all that kind of stuff too. And I've been intrigued by that a little bit, just to be like, wow, the only one that I'm seeing, and I followed the teams that they're on, is the Rough Riders, and they're doing a great job.
You just don't, because even a couple of podcasts I listen to that are national brands, and TSNs are like our ESPN that you guys have, and they play it, but they don't talk about it. It's kind of obligated to, and TSN they've had the contract forever to broadcast the games, but it's kind of, I don't want to say it's become stale, but it's the same thing, because there's only what, 10 teams or 18. I can't remember how many teams, but it just doesn't resonate. People, like, it's on, people watch it, but then it just kind of goes away. It just doesn't get the same juice. Yeah, it's weird.
Well, let's talk a little bit about you, Brent. Get to know you a little bit. Let's start about podcasting and kind of what got you inspired to start a podcast and to continue to do a podcast over the years as well. What got you into it?
Well, it's coming up in the 5-year anniversary as we're recording this on Wednesday, I guess, the 20th of August. And there was that little, like, same thing as Hector. There was that little bug rolling around in 2020 that everybody was sitting at home doing nothing. And the wife, she actually said, hey, you got to start doing something. I said, okay. So I was sitting down here, and we were just talking. And I thought, this is years ago. I'm not a young guy anymore, but I went to Lethbridge College it was Lethbridge Community College back then, and I wanted to get into the world of broadcasting, sports broadcasting. So I did all the stuff and the applications, and then got in, and then I asking around. I said, well, how much money did these guys make? And then they told me, and I was like, holy geez, that's not very good. So I kind of put it on the back burner, and then over the years, like I've always been a big fan of sports radio. You go back to Jim Rome days, and he's a different cat now, but how that was kind of how it was a national show. And so I always thought it was fun and something to listen to. And then you just was always intrigued by it, and just the conversation you can have with people. And then I thought, well, I can do that. It's just sports. I can talk about it. And then you realize how much work it is. You just have any idea. Well, I'm just going to talk, and people are going to listen.
Yeah,
that's how this works. No, that's not how this works. It doesn't. And so it was actually, I don't want to say COVID was fortunate, but it was like a fortunate time. My dad had just passed away as well at that point. So I was kind of down in the dumps and everything else. And then COVID. So just all this stuff was in your head about what you're going to do. And you can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. And it was just an odd time. And then, so when I started doing this, I don't want to say it was a lifesaver, but it was because I wasn't at that point by any means, but it was just one of those, like, it would kind of just, hey, this was something you could do and sink your teeth into. And then you start getting some people who listen and follow, and then start talking about what you should talk about, and the different things that just, especially just people around. I'm from a small town just up the road, 3,000 people, and they start talking, hey, you should do that. So it just got a guy feeling pretty good. And then it just was a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. And so I got up with a co-host, and then my wife started helping me things. And so it's just kind of grown into this little, I don't want to go as far as saying empire, but it's grown into this little thing that it's been a lot of fun. And it's, you can kind of like get lost in it a little bit in a good way. In my opinion, like, you can turn on a game, you can watch, and you have your own opinion of things. And I mean, there's thousands of things you can think about, but it's just different ways and different ideas you have about what people might want to listen to. And then you get to a point, and I don't know if you're like this at all, Vince, but it's just sometimes you, like, I get to a point where I don't really, I want people to listen, but it's at a point now where, like, I don't care what their opinion is. I have something to say, and I want to say it. And it's my show, it's my game. And it's at that point where, because I'm a very abrupt and abrasive person at times, I guess, is what people tell me. I don't believe them, but you just get your own thought and your own creations and what you think might work and what won't work. And there's times you like, this is one of the funnier things. Like, there's times you put shows out and you think they're gold. Like, absolute, like, this is going to be the one that's going to put me over the top. And all of a sudden I'm going to be having sponsors beating down my door, and it gets 3 listens or whatever the number might be. Right. And it gets 5 views on YouTube or whatever the number is. And then other times you put out something that just doesn't even, like, you're just disgusted with it, but you put it out there anyways, because you put the effort in, and it goes semi-viral. Like, what the heck happened here? So it's just, it's one of those things. And you kind of, and you, like, I used to get so caught up in how many people listen, like I said, and how many people were watching. And then you get to a point where you're like, you know what? I'm 50 years old now. I didn't care what people thought about me before I started doing this. Why am I starting to care now? Yeah. And so you kind of mature a lot with the whole thing, and it's a lot of fun, and it gets you watching sports in a different way, and it keeps you more engaged. I'm not like, it's just a way to stay engaged with it and talk to people about things, and the different people like yourself and the belly up people, how you can, everybody's got a different thing they can talk about. And it's fun, and it's something I just fell into, and just the wife, and not a lot of good things came out of COVID, but when my wife said, hey, you got to do something, and lo and behold, this is what we're doing. So it's fun.
Well, I love that you said that too, about, because same way, man, you started off, everything's about the numbers. How am I doing? How many people are downloading? How many people are watching? How many, I mean, back when we started, it was still kind of about the audio downloads, before even the YouTube. And then that came into it more so. And I'm with you though. I mean, I do my show with my dad. So it's turned into just, if someone listens, great. If they don't, me and dad have a good time talking. So,
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
And I reach out, I got different people that I talk to, and then I go on their shows and different things, and just the community, how we can connect through this thing. Like, I have no idea how tall you are. Like, we've done this how many times, right? Like, you just don't really get to know people, but then you have it's just a lot of fun to get people different opinions and different thought processes, and how another thing that's great about it is how everybody, no matter what genre your podcast is, if you're a football guy or a baseball guy, hockey, whatever it might be, everybody's so willing to help you. And so I haven't, like, over the years, I haven't had a lot of people say no to coming on the show. And I haven't had a lot of people like just brush me off, and they'll find a way to help you out, and then you'll find a way to help them out. And everybody wants their whatever making it is. Everybody is trying to do it. And remember, we were in one of our belly up meetings a couple of years back, and talking about this and talking about that. And I said, if anybody knew what we were doing, we wouldn't be having this conversation, right? Because if we were all as smart as we think we are, we wouldn't be part of whatever network looking for different ideas and different things to do to make it go. And everybody is just so helpful with it, and it's. That's what my wife says. Like these people that you meet that you might never ever actually see face to face, how they're just a great community. And like I talk to more people that do podcasts than I do my friends who live 2 minutes away. Right? It's just you just get caught in it. That might not be a good thing. Like I should probably get out of the basement once in a while and go and see my friends. But it just how everybody's so helpful, and you try to and hey, this worked for me, but it might not work for you. Like you just keep trying stuff, and it's just a lot of fun, and it keeps you really engaged in the sports world.
We just had a group of us meet up at the Fantasy Football Expo, and there were bets about how tall certain people were because
there you go.
Must have been in the same room together, or so that's funny that you bring that up. How did you decide on the niche of your show? And well, let's start first. A lot of people that listen to this are people that will listen to you regularly anyhow, but there are other people that are getting to know you, introduced to you now. So talk a little bit about your show. What's your main focus on the 1420 Sports Podcast?
Like 1420, people think it's 420 with the marijuana. It's not. It's because what in Canada, and I didn't think of this when I first the marijuana thing when I first put 1420 together. A can of beer in Canada is 355 milliliters. 355 times 4 is 1420. So that and that's how it actually happened. I was sitting in the basement. Here's why. And then there was 4 cans of beer sitting there. It's like, hey, that's kind of because you talk around the sports bar, you talk with your buddies watching the game, and then I got thinking, I don't want to be a show that breaks down stats. I don't want to be a show that breaks down because nobody cares what I have to think about stats or breaking down game tape, because that's what ESPN's for. That's what TSN's for. Like nobody cares that I thought that this guy should have tackled this guy certain. Nobody cares. And I thought just simple things that you would talk about with your friends about a certain athlete or a certain game or old, like a memory that you have of certain things. And I thought that was something that was kind of missing a little bit, because there's so many of these, and there's so many podcasts out there, but you're like, why I'm not an ex-professional athlete, so why is anybody listening to me about breaking down a game, right? or things like that? So I thought it would just be fun to talk like you do when you're with your friends having a good time. And then, like I said earlier on, when I was talking with people from back home, and they were like, "Hey, that was a good conversation," and they would talk about it after the fact, or I'd meet up with them and we talk about that same topic, and it was just something that I've always liked to do. And anybody's got a podcast likes talking, and I talk a little bit more than the average person, so it was just something that kind of just fell into naturally, and just how you can, and you're really good at it too, Vince, how like just interviewing people, you just like you just set it up and let the person talk. Like I don't think people understand like how easy that part of it is. Like that's the easy part. You have 8 questions, in, out, half an hour. Like it's actually not that tough, but it's keeping people engaged, and and I always found like the sitting around having a couple of beers with your buddies and stuff and talking sports, because that's what you do, or if you going out for dinner with your friends or stuff like that. And I just thought we'd get it to the airwaves and see if it worked, and it's gone pretty well.
Now, when you're not podcasting, what are you doing? I know we're finally able to get out of the basement now for the last couple of years. So when you're not podcasting, what are you doing?
Well, I'm in sports. I'm general manager of a wood bat baseball team, WCBL, up here in Canada. Collegiate kids come up here and they play for the summer. So I do that. So I'm involved in the sports world nonstop, and I umpire baseball as well. So I'm involved in it nonstop, and it's just I baseball. Like that's what I do for a living, and that's what I constantly do. And so I'm always around it, and it adds to give me a little extra content too, because you hear different conversations, and like you do with the guys from Eastern Kentucky, how you were talking to those guys, and it gives you a little bit of a different thought process, because I'm 51 years old and they're not, and so so you just hear different things and different how the game has changed and how every sport's changed a lot compared to when we were younger. So I'm constantly around the world of sports, and we were talking off air there, like just I just thought people went to a baseball game and watched it. There's a lot more to it to get people to the game, and so it's been a big learning curve the last couple of years. I was in construction on the road, like I was oil and gas guy for 26 years or so, and then the bug happened, and I just kind of and that was another thing that happened with COVID is I think a lot of people, and myself was included, you did a little bit of a check on your between your ears a little bit. And am I satisfied? I mean, I'm 40 whatever years old, and I've been doing this for how many years? And yeah, it's a good paying job, and yeah, blah blah blah. And you go, geez, is this what it's all about? And then so you kind of have a different thought, and you go, yeah, I really don't like doing this anymore. And it took that little bump in the road to get me to think that way, and it just I'm thankful that it did. I mean, it was tough. Like I said, when my dad passed away, and I kind of had a different it was an eye opener. I got to start doing something that I enjoy. Yeah. And so what happened? The owner and president of the Lethbridge Bulls, who I'm employed with, he's also the president of WCBL, and I umpire in that league, and he called me in to talk about umpiring one day, and I said, let's see, Alex, blah blah blah, something that was going on, and I said, Kevin, I said, you got to start putting some butts in the seats here at the stadium. Like it's abysmal. Like we got a population of 100,000 people, and we're not getting 200 some nights. Right. And so basically, he called me back a couple of weeks later and basically said, okay, big mouth, put your money where your mouth is. And here you go. And here we are. So, yeah, so I kind of got myself into a bit of a rhubarb there doing that. But I'm thankful that I did, because it's like I said, to be around the sports world, something I've always been around forever. Like even in the people were talking, I said, I remember when I was 5 years old, my little brother was born, and the house wasn't big enough where we lived on 19th Street in Fort McLeod there. So we had to get a new house. And this goes back a long time, 1979. And the house we moved to, which my mom's still in to this day, had two Little League parks right across the street. So it was something that was always in front of me. And like every day, baseball was in front of me during the spring and the summer. And I was always playing. And then that got me watching it more, and then following the box scores in the paper. And it was always a thing. And we had a really strong community back then when it came to Little League baseball, and so it was just always a fun time to be around it. And then you get away from it, because like I said, you get into a different line of work, and you can't do it all the time. You can't be a part of it. You can't do everything, and then life gets in the way. So and then to get a chance to get back into it, first with the podcast, and then with the job I have now, it's been a godsend. I mean, it's it's something I've always wanted to do. Like I said, like I took a strong pass on the paycheck back in 1993 or whatever it was, when I found out how much sports broadcasters made in Canada. It wasn't very much, and it actually still isn't. I was quite surprised by that because there's only X amount of jobs in the especially in the network televisions. There's only like you have TSN and Rogers Sportsnet. So how many guys they need, and then so they need your morning guys, your night guys, and then the odd show here and there. And so there's only 5-6 jobs, and they go, well, there's thousands of people who want those jobs, so they just basically don't pay anybody. And it was just I think that's another reason why podcasts have gotten so big, is guys have found a way to make some money doing this. That might, I mean, I'm not making thousands of dollars by any means doing this, but I worked on getting sponsors and things like that. Like SeatGeek was really good for us, and just different ones that I've been able to acquire that puts a few extra bucks in the pocket. But it's just, it's fun, and I think that's the biggest thing. Being part of the sports world is fun, and I was fortunate enough a couple of weeks back to go to Victoria to umpire in the Little League Canadian Championships, and it kind of went full circle for me being out there, because I grew up playing Little League, like I said, and then I got to umpire in the Canadian Championships, and it was I did the final. I was out on second base. I got a little, I don't want to go as far as saying teary-eyed, but there was a bit of a lump in my throat, because this is pretty great. Like this is full circle, and the kids were great, and the people were great, and everything. You hear all the negativity about my youth sports and minor sports. And that week or 10 days I was out there, all the parents were there for the right reasons, and the kids were there for the right reasons. There was no bickering. They weren't trying to get their kids into a scholarship at the age of 11. It was just fun, and it was good. And even if you made a bad call, which I didn't, I was perfect the entire time. But I think whatever. No one said anything. That was the best thing. You make a bad call, kids just kind of give you a little bit of a side eye, and then that's it. Like, it's over. The coaches don't. And then it's funny that then you go, like, when they're 14, 15, that little side eye turns into something else. And when they're 17, 18, they go, oh, geez, who's this kid's parents? So it's funny how it all kind of came full circle when I was out there in Victoria. It's just being part of the sports world. Like, it's something I've always wanted to do, and I found a way to do it. It's fantastic. Yeah.
One of the fun things in sports podcasting is, you've talked a little bit about, is talking to people, interviewing people, things like that. When you look at your show so far over these 5 years, is there a favorite guest that you've had on, maybe even someone that you were a little surprised you were able to get?
There's one guy that early on, and there's a couple, but there's one guy early on that I played junior hockey with back in 1992 or whatever it was, a guy by the name of Harry York. And I hadn't talked with Harry in, 30 years, around there.
Yeah.
And kind of reached out Facebook or something. I can't remember. And he said, what? Yes, yeah. Because he ended up playing National Hockey League for 6 or 7 years, and had a cup of coffee up there. And I hadn't seen him, and we were good friends and teammates. And then it's just, like, back then, once you left, you just left. There was no cell phones. There was no Facebook. There was none of that stuff. You was just, I'll never see you again. And you kind of just accepted it. Right. Yeah. Like, there's a few people you keep in touch with, but everybody go, especially when a guy ends up playing the National Hockey League, I don't expect him to be reaching out to me. Like, it's just the way it goes. Right. So that was one that was a lot of fun. And we reminisced about the old days. And then we talked about his days in playing hockey. And that was probably one of the better ones. And then I was lucky enough to have, of course, I'm drawing a blank on his name, is the co-host of Locked On Yankees. He's been on my show a few times, and just a great interview and a great talk. And he was really excitable. And his first name's Brian, and just really excitable and thankful. And he could kind of, because when you're in the Locked On network, there's certain protocols I'm sure you have to follow, and you can't say certain things. And if the odd word pops out of your mouth, no one's gonna, like, you can't do that. And he swore once on our show, and he went, oops. I said, it's fine. Don't, it's like don't make a habit of it. But he's like, oop, yeah, no. And it was just great. And like I said earlier, it was just for like their show does really good, and he didn't have to take time out of his day to come on for half an hour, talk whatever it was, and talk Yankees baseball. And he came on later on, started talking about Rangers, and he was almost like it was, hey, when can I come on again? So I've had him on a few times, and because he can just kind of let his hair down a little bit and talk what he wants to talk about, and not follow whatever company line that Locked On has. And it was just a great experience for sure having him on there. Yeah. So there's a couple, and then some other old teammates I had that just you just lose touch with, and then people it was just a lot of fun.
I think that is fun, because of our age, and you didn't have all those easy ways to stay connected.
Yeah.
It's so cool to reconnect with people, especially people that have, gone on to do some pretty cool things as well, and get them on the show. And they think it's cool, that they get to come on your show. It's funny. Yeah. Isn't it funny how people think that you're famous because you have a show?
It's crazy. Like, it's actually quite funny. Like, people recognize me. Like, when I was out in Victoria, this person that from Lethbridge, she kind of looked at me a little bit, because I was with my sister out there, and she kind of looked at me and she goes, "You're from Lethbridge, right?" I said, "Yeah." And she goes, I said, "Yeah." Like, and it's like, I'm not famous. Like, I'm really not famous at all. Like, but it is funny how people just assume because you're on YouTube, or you're here, you're there, and you go on different shows, people just think you're rolling in dough and making money. I'm like, that's not how this works, man. It's not at all. Then you see different people kind of give you a look back on who you are. Like, I'm just Brent still, man. Like, like, if you want to do the same thing we're doing on the show, just sit right here. We'll have a BS session and have a laugh, because I'm not doing anything different. So it's just, but there are people who just think that, oh, you got a podcast. Yeah. sort of 3 million other people. Yeah, whatever. No, but it is funny when it comes to that. But, it's been like I said, it was a godsend to get involved in it, and I'm glad I got because you get between your own ears a lot when you first start doing it, and you think it's going to be easy, and it's not, and then you're like, oh, that wasn't, and and a lot of guys don't stick with it. And you try to do too much. I think that's the biggest thing. You try to do too much early instead of just growing into it. Like, I didn't know how to do graphics on Canva or whatever it was. I didn't know. We used to do it. Me and a buddy, we used to just record it on a phone and do it back in the day, right? And I don't know. And then all of a sudden, oh, hey, there's this Zoom thing. Hey, here we go. So that changed things. And there was a point where we almost quit doing it, and I remember the number, it was show 68. That just was a disaster. Like, it was an absolute disaster. The sound didn't work, and it kept cutting out. And so it just like, oh, it's bad. Like, it's just bad. What's the point? And then my nephew, he's out in Vancouver Island, and he goes, hey, why don't you do it on Zoom? It's like, okay, then you can just record it. And I said, okay. I didn't know anything about it. And then he says, well, I can, he goes, I'm not really doing a whole bunch, because he was 17 at the time, I think. And he says, well, I can produce it. I can put some, because he plays guitar, I can put some music to it and openings. I was like, hey, right on. And so it's just kind of how that evolved. And you take some advice and you get help from other people. And it just, it made it a lot better. And then everything kind of just went up from there. Like, we're not getting 1 million downloads a show by any means, but it just makes things better. Like, and that's all you can try to do on a daily basis. Because even the greats didn't have great auspicious starts when they first started doing everything, right? And those guys went to university or college to learn how to do this.
Right.
Me and you just jumped in front of a computer and said, all right, here, I got a microphone now. Here's what we're doing. Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's just.
I love it, man. You talked about the work that goes into podcasting, and some people, you can tell that just turn on a camera and start talking, and no prep goes into it, whatever. And you can definitely tell the difference between them and people who are putting in the work. What's a little bit of your routine before you hit record that you do with your co-host? You said your wife helps out a little bit and stuff like that too. What goes into that prep for an episode?
It can start something simple. Like, for me, like today, I recorded one earlier on today about the Major League Baseball realignment. And so you get an idea in your head, and then you kind of, okay, this is, okay, don't just say what everybody says. Don't just repeat what Rob Manfred said last night at the Little League Classic there. Get what your thoughts are. And so I actually write down every time in a notepad that I got right in front of me. I write down 14, 20, and I know what I'm saying. I've done it hundreds of times, and then I put the Seat Geek and then Belly Up. So I write it down, and then I write down, it sometimes takes me an hour, sometimes takes me half an hour, but I write down notes, just like little quick hits that, okay, and then I think about it, and then that's going to work, that's not going to work. I don't read it, but I just it gets fresh in my head. That's how I'm going to get everything down. I never jump on without some kind of a script that I've physically written down, because then it gets entrenched into my brain through my fingers somehow. And that's how I do it. And I got notepads, a stack of them in the storage room, that just old notes and things that I've done. And but I write down every last little bit and make sure I'm getting it. And then I have, like at work, I have another notepad, because I don't. Everybody, I'm old. I don't get type and everything. I'm just old. Like, write everything down. But I have a notepad of different ideas and different thoughts that you have. There you go. So you're the same as I am. It's like the same notepad, actually. You just write all the stuff down, and you different ideas and different thoughts and different things you hear throughout the day, because it can get tough, and you want to stay relevant. And that's the biggest. I think that's one of the biggest things. If you can't do this half-heartedly. If you're going to do it, you got to do it. And you got to put content out there, and you got to put good content out there, and you got to hope that people might listen. But you got to be engaged with yourself. Before you can ask anybody else to be engaged with you, and you got to want to do it, and you got to want to, and it's something that you would listen to. I mean, they're guaranteed there's people millions of people who don't care what I say, right? But you have to say, okay, what would my demographic, or what would a person, what would they want to hear? And you got to think that way. And if they don't, well, you're not going to please everybody. But it's just make sure you're staying relevant and be professional about it. And you can't just come on and hope. and
Right.
then wonder why it didn't work. Well, I'll tell you why it didn't work. You weren't prepared. You just sat in front of a dead screen and a lot of uhs and uhs and uhs and ums and
Yeah.
ums and ums, right? So there's a lot of work that goes into it. Like you do a half-hour show, you do a 1-hour show, or like I used to do the morning thing. I'm trying to get back into that, but I don't. It turns out I like sleeping a little bit more than the average guy now for some reason. But you do I used to do like a happy birthday to, and then a on this day.
Yeah.
Well, those little videos, like a 1-minute video, takes an hour. Like it just time. Like everything takes time, and you got to want to do it. Yeah, you get better at it as you figure it out, but it just takes time. You got to want to do it, and that's the biggest thing. Like I want to do it, and
Yeah.
I have a very loving wife who accepts that I love doing it, and that's huge. She's very supportive. Like there's been times where she's like, hey, you got to go record a show. You got to get on it again. I'm like, yeah, well, no, go do it. Okay, yeah, and you can't wait till tomorrow, right? Because
Right.
something else is going to change. And I remember, like you were saying, I can't remember if it was on the Slack or where it was, but like a podcast lasts about 4 days. Right. Like you can listen to older ones and have a chuckle about some things, but whatever news you might be talking about is old tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so you really have to be relevant on a daily basis, and YouTube as well. Yeah, you can watch different things, but if you're talking about recent stuff, there's something happening right now that's going to be old news this time tomorrow. So
Yeah.
if you're going to do it, you have to be not once a week or twice a week, whatever it's going to be, and let people know you're there, because there's so many options out there. Like everybody's like, and that's like people. Why is no one watching? Why is no one listening? Well, nobody knows when you're there. Like nobody knows if you're on, and nobody, like, you can't go once a month and go, hey, I'm here. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
nobody cares, because there's something else to watch. There's something else to listen to. Like how many YouTube channels are out there? Millions, right? And so you got to find a way to stay relevant and stay engaged. And that's the best thing. Like down here, a bit of a weird, but I got 4 TVs down here that are always there's different games going all the time.
Yeah.
And people, how do you do it? I said, I don't know. I watch this, and I have a podcast on the background. I'm listening to this, reading this. Like it's a lot, but it's something I enjoy, and it's something I've always enjoyed. And when and this is a way to stay in it. Like you can only play sports for so long, right? And that's one of the things I tell the guys around the ballpark a lot.
Oh, we just lost your sound, Brent. Oh,
there we go.
There it is. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, you can only stay in sports. Sorry about that. You can only stay in sports for so long as an athlete. And that's one of the things I got into umpiring, because I can still be an umpire, and now I can be in sports in this realm of thinking, right? So it's just a thing I've always loved, and people know that about me, that I've been a sports junkie forever, and it was kind of a perfect fit. And it just the way it was too bad. It was an unfortunate set of circumstances that got me into it, but
right.
it worked out. And I think and you just got to keep with and keep grinding, and it's fun, and it's rewarding, and you can't let the lack of downloads or the lack of listens or whatever. I wish that little button wasn't on the screen where you could see how many are on there, because like refresh, no, same number. Yeah, it's just I'm not that bad anymore, but I was at a point. Like I think you know what I'm saying. You're just okay. Well, this was gold, and then just doesn't happen, and it's funny how that works out.
You talked about listening to other podcasts too. What are some podcasts you like to listen to regularly?
I like the guys over at Crap Root Sports. They made me laugh a lot. I got into them, and that's how I actually found the Belly Up Network with them. I listen to your show all the time. I'm not just saying that because you're in front of me. I've always said the silky sounds of Vince Stover. I always enjoy, and your dad and there. You guys have a very, very good relationship. It's always great to listen to. The guys in Overdrive out in Toronto on TSN. I actually played hockey with one of the guys years and years and years ago. He wouldn't remember who I am now, but I listened to them. They kind of got me into the sports radio thing, but again. So that's one I listen to on a daily basis. I'm more like I've become more of a YouTube guy lately, and just scrolling through things and watching things like that. Just for some reason the visual thing comes to me, but I listen to the Locked On guys. I try not to just listen to the Yankee stuff because, well, there's 1,000 Yankee podcasts, right? And you're like, okay, well, this guy doesn't know anything that I don't. I mean, just tell me something I don't know. Like it's Stanton can't run. Yeah, I know. Whatever. Like you listen to different things and different. There's one I listen to, a podcast I listen to a lot, Professor of Rock, because I'm a music junkie as well, and I don't know if he's really good. And he talks about old rock and roll, old 80s stuff, and it's one that I get on the, like it's a really good one that I listen to that one faithfully. Like that's one that's not a sports related one. It's not very often that there isn't sports going through my ear, but that's one for sure that I don't miss out on, because it's just it brings you back the memories of the 80s and the music scene back then, and sitting in the backyard and whatever it was, and jumping the trampoline, listen to Rick D's weekly top 40 or whatever it was back then, right? So just those things that you get a kick out of, and it's just and that's like some podcasts you can dive into them and you hear some things. Hey, that was fun, and you can turn the brain off sometimes. Right. And you can just get lost in the person's voice, and you don't have to think. They do the thinking for you. You just listen and take some information in. My wife's a big because she's a white woman, obviously, so she's true crime and all, like that's what they listen to all the time, right? Murder mysteries, like they're dead still. So it's just
Well, let's talk about guests. So if you could have, I liked what Hector did. He gave me a one that is currently alive and one that was has passed on. And so if you could interview anybody, we'll start with someone who's still alive. Who would it be? And then someone who's already passed on, if you could go back in time and interview, who would that be?
I guess the low hanging fruit and the easy one would be Derek Jeter, but I think that one's too easy. I don't know how much he would say. I would like to talk to a guy like Paul O'Neill, who had a little bit more grit to him. He was a little bit like, he just kind of had that edge to him. He's not the kind of guy I think that's trying to hide a reputation at all. Not that Jeter is, but he kind of is. He has that level of it. So I don't know how much you would get out of him to say this one, but I think Paul O'Neill will be a lot of fun. And not talk about the on the field stuff. I'd be more interested in about the shenanigans they got into off the field winning World Series. I think that would be a lot of fun. Like, okay, how'd this work, and what happened in the locker room? And like, I know you won. I know that's documented. I can turn on YouTube and it's there. But just all the stuff like that would be a lot of fun to talk to. And Paul O'Neill, he was one of those guys, a guy who just recently passed away. That I don't know how much you would get out of him that would be not about him, but I was always a big Ricky Henderson fan. Like I thought Ricky was just as good as they could be. I mean, Ricky was Ricky, and I think he would have been I don't know how much, like I said, how much you would get out of him, but it would be some pretty interesting. And of course, the great Vin Scully would have been a good conversation to have with, because he was such the voice of baseball for forever, and just the stories and the class that man just had on everything that he did. I think Scully would have been a really good conversation.
You can tell podcast hosts that interview people on a regular basis by your answer there that, Jeter wouldn't say much. So when you're thinking about interviews, you're looking for people who are actually going to talk. And I find, some people would say, oh, I want to interview Michael Jordan. Well, yeah, but he's not going to give you anything good.
No, like because for the ball team, we have the Bullhorn podcast, which we get some players on there, and they're young. They're between 18 and 24 years old. And it's funny. I said, you have to talk. You can't nod. That doesn't do me any good. Right. And just don't say yes. I need more. And I don't want to say I can bully them, but I can, like, hey, dummy, like, you got to say stuff. Like it's just, and so you get guys like that and who clam up, and then other guys they're just almost an automatic for it. How they just they'll just talk, and that's one of the great things about podcasts is you're just talking, and you can have a conversation just like this, and it's just talking and getting to know people and what their thought process is, and you're not breaking things down, because once again, nobody cares. Nobody cares what I have to think about the face off in the third period of an Oilers game. Like, it doesn't matter. So you just talk to people and you get a lot of good conversations out of it. And it's fantastic. I love it.
Now, I've found baseball players are easier to talk to than any other sport. And I think it's because they have so much time where they're sitting in the dugout, or the pitchers are sitting out in the bullpen or whatever, and they're always talking anyhow. I've just found interviewing baseball players, there's a lot more stories in them, it seems like, than, I've interviewed a lot of football and basketball players, but baseball just always is the one that they talk. and which is great when you're interviewing them.
Yeah, it is funny if you talk about guys out in the bullpen. And Canada Day, my brother was out here from Vancouver Island, and his kids were out with him, and they came to the ball game and talking about the bullpen. We'll get to the talking about, but that was funny. My nephew, he said, "Hey, can we go and take a tour of the stadium?" I said, "Sure, yeah, we'll go here and go there." And a game was being played at the time. So, yeah, we can go to the locker room. There's nobody in there, and we'll go to the bullpen. And I'd never been out there before, out to the bullpen during the game. And I go back there, and there was 12 guys who could have cared less about what was going on in the field. Like, they weren't watching, they weren't paying attention, because our pitching coach was in the dugout, and the bullpen's out in the field. There was 12 guys out there. They didn't know a game was even on. They were looking at everything else. There was a guy kind of doing some things. There was two guys maybe playing catch. It was the third inning, so they weren't getting ready to go yet. So like you said, ball players talk so much because they have nothing but time in their heads. And then the guys who are bench guys, they know they're not getting in. They might get a pinch hit in the ninth, but they're just sitting there talking, and it's just funny. And then I always find it funny, and no matter what level of baseball it is, it's like the minor leagues. Like we talked a long time about the minor league parks, and we had a couple of three Latin American guys on our team this year, and they just group with themselves, speak Spanish, and it always makes me laugh. And they're always at the one end of the dugout, and it's not the segregation. It's just funny. Yeah. We had the one kid, Adonis Burnell, super good kid from Panama, and he goes to college in the States somewhere. And he was trying to speak English before, like when there was no other Spanish players. But when the two other Spanish guys came up, Adonis forgot English was even a language. That was it. He was, I'm good. I'm going to speak Spanish with Bernie, and and that's all we're going to do. So and baseball players like to talk. They really do. It is quite humorous, because even like you watch a game, the first baseman's talking to the first base coach. The guy gets a base hit, they're talking back and forth, because the game allows that to happen. Like there's enough downtime where they just talk, and umpires talking to this guy. Yeah, no, that's a very good point, Vince. They're just always talking, and they're not afraid to do it. Yeah, it's just great.
I interviewed a guy once. He played for the Rockies and the Giants, and he was mostly in the minors, but he got a few games, and he said Troy Tulowitzki yelled at him for talking to the other team's second baseman when he got on base.
Dude, I'm here for a week. I want to introduce some people. I got to network here a little bit. I got to go somewhere. I got to get a contract. I can't afford an agent. Yeah.
All right, let me give you a few more that are a little more lighthearted. Well, it's all been lighthearted. It's been great. What's your go-to snack? You're sitting down there in the 1420 studio watching 4 TVs at one time. What are you asking the wife to bring down to you? What are you snacking on?
I am a potato chip fiend.
Okay.
Like, I see a bag of all dressed chips or a bag. It actually doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You put it in a big bag. I'll eat the whole thing in one. They're gone. They don't stand a chance. I'm a potato chip guy. But say if we're to go out for a snack or cook something, I'm a wing guy. Actually, you know what? I'll eat wings, but a burger. Like, I'm a big burger guy, and like I don't have to be hungry to have it. There's a hamburger in front of me. I'll eat it. Like, kind of makes everybody mad. I got to run around the shower to get wet. Don't put any weight on eating chips and hamburgers all the time. But it's just potato chips. That's the snack. It doesn't matter what flavor. Like, they're gone. They don't stand a chance.
Yeah, I love it. Now, if your podcast had a mascot, what would the mascot be? So the 1420 Sports Podcast.
I think we would try to find a way to have a beer bottle opener, a bottle opener. I don't know if bottle opener is even a thing anymore, but probably a bottle opener, a beer can or something like that with a goofy look on his face and the headphones on. That's actually, I was, because we did a little bit of looking, not just a little segue, a little side here, but we did a little bit of, because our mascot T-Bone, yeah, he could use an upgrade. It's starting to smell a little bit, and I was shocked. It was $14,000 for a mascot. I thought maybe $1,000. No, it was $14,000. I was like,
oh my goodness,
T-Bone can wait another year. We're gonna sell a lot more tickets. We're gonna need a costume.
Right. Yeah. Oh my goodness! If you could instantly gain one new skill to improve your show, what would it be?
Listening more.
Okay.
I think, like, I try, but like, as we're sitting here, I talk a lot, and I talk a lot, and it's, but when I have guests, I let them go, but I tend to talk. I would listen a lot more. That's probably would be the one thing I would do is just listen more,
That might even,
and not be so not opinionated, but just trying to change people's minds. I guess I don't know what that skill would be, but like I don't go out and call people stupid or anything. But like, geez, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it's just yeah. But I guess you got to have an opinion of a podcast, right? I just shouldn't. I just shouldn't let people know my opinion all the time. I don't have to. Yeah.
Yeah, makes
My
me
wife
talk
says
to your
something about
wife.
that too. I don't listen to that either, but whatever.
I think your wife would like that answer. I'm guessing. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You don't have to comment on everything. Yeah, I know.
Oh, gracious. Do you have a guilty pleasure show or song? Go to guilty pleasure show or song.
Oh, this is awful. I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud. This is awful. Do you remember that show, The OC? It was, yeah. Oh yeah. I watched the guts out of that. I still do. Like it's on Crave, I think. And I don't know why I rewatch it. Like nothing's going to change on Seth and Summer. And like, I don't know what, like, yeah, I watched it's ridiculous. And I'm a big, and this, I'm not like, I used to be embarrassed well, I'm embarrassed by that. Like that. I hope no one listens to this actually. the OC. I don't know why. Like because I'm not, like even when it was out in its first incarnation, I was way too old to even be, because it was 20 years ago, so I was already 30. Like, what am I doing?
Yeah,
trying to relive my childhood or something. But I used to be like I'm a big pop music guy, like but more 80s stuff. But I used to not tell people what, because I always have this. What's your favorite song? Okay, but what's actually your favorite song?
Yeah,
because people tell different. I'm a huge Huey Lewis and News fan. I love Huey Lewis News. So that's another guilty pleasure, something that I can tune into. I used to be ashamed of saying it, but I'm a huge Huey fan. I've seen him probably 7 or 8 times in my life. No, I'm a big Huey Lewis fan.
I feel like music, we get over our shame pretty fast on that.
Yeah.
We're able to admit, I like this song, I like this artist, whatever. TV is still one that at our age, especially, we definitely shy away from that one a little bit. We don't want anyone to know the answer.
Because like the wife, she watches all kinds of different things and stuff. And so when I do go upstairs, she's got what was it, Making the Band or Making the Group or something. And it's just about, it's a reality TV show. And so you kind of start watching, and then
you get sucked in.
And so you get sucked in. You're like, well, they can't go through. Why are they going through? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, who cares? You're never going to hear from these people in a week from now. But you start watching. Like, I'm watching this, and you're waiting for the next one to drop. And is this out there yet? Yeah, it's just funny.
Yeah. All right. So, favorite baseball team's the Yankees. Yeah. Who's your favorite all-time player from the Yankees?
I'm gonna this is gonna go off the rails a little bit, off the charts, but I love Brett Gardner when he was there.
Okay.
Gardner was probably just a gritty player. Wasn't the biggest guy. I love the way Gardy played. But Mike Mussina. I loved Mike Mussina when he joined up the Yankees to try to win a world championship. And Mike Mussina is the only reason why Aaron Boone's a manager there. So kind of going to curse him a little bit. But without Mussina coming into the third inning to get Roger Clemens out of that heap of trouble in 2003, we wouldn't know who Aaron Boone is.
Yeah.
True story. Yeah. But I think like the Mussinas and the Cones of the world, like those pitchers that were just pitchers. They weren't throwers like that we have today. But probably Mussina and David Cone were just the guys that I really liked watching back then. Just really, really good pitchers, and Cone had a cup of coffee here with the Jays. So I say here, like in Canada, like it's right, it's our team, right? Like Toronto's nowhere near here. Yeah, and it was funny. I was on what show was I was on Corner Booth there, and Matt Ordazzo, he goes, "How close are you to Toronto?" Not even, man. Like not even remotely close. It's just not like Montana, and then me. Like that's like everybody's like, oh, Toronto, Canada, Toronto. No.
Yeah, right.
It's a great big country. Yeah. So, probably David Cone, Mike Mussina, probably those guys. Yeah. And then you obviously have the obligatory Jeters and the Mariano and the Core Four and those guys. But yeah, I would say those pitchers back in the day that kind of got them over the hump and won some championships.
Who should be managing the Yankees next season?
The easy answer, and it's never going to happen. And I don't know why people still are clamoring for this guy. I don't think he wants the job. Would be Don Mattingly. I don't think there's a reason why he hasn't been there. I don't think it matters who's going to be managing the Yankees because it'll be the same script, the same no matter what until they get rid of Cashman. But
Okay.
I think it doesn't matter who's managing that team. They could put me or you behind the bench, be the same guys going in. I don't think it matters. I wouldn't mind maybe seeing. Oh, geez, I don't know. There's so many to choose from. There's so many to choose from. I like it's just like a guy that might do a good job is next Yankee. And I don't know how much these guys made so much money in their careers, but a guy like Jorge Posada, he had some pretty good comments last week during Old Timers Day. Like, see, but they made so much money, they don't need to be doing it.
Right.
And like you hear, like I don't know, like people start talking about Jeter and A-Rod being the manager. Why would they want to do that?
Right.
Like, why? Like I'm not going on the road for 175 days a year, and wow, I'm just not. And they made hundreds of millions of dollars to be away from their family. They're not doing that.
Right.
Like Posada, I don't know, but like Posada did okay for himself too. But
yeah. But it's not you're not seeing superstars manage baseball teams.
No.
They're going to go to TV, and that's about it. That's the furthest they'll go. You get the catcher, you get the a bullpen guy, you get somebody like that steps up, but
like,
not.
I wouldn't mind seeing Girardi because he kind of got let go. I wouldn't mind seeing him come back, but that's not the way that works either. But I think him come back. I think that would be a good move. So he's got a little bit more grit to him. And maybe that's like today's athlete doesn't really like that. I don't think that's because they've never been told what to do in their lives. Like right from Pop Warner football right on through, they're told how great they are, and you can't talk to my kid that way. And all of a sudden, they're professional athletes, and you can't do that. Like I'm going to my agent, and we're not talking anymore. Yeah. So you can't have that grit and everything else. Like it's just. It's just odd. But a guy like Girardi getting another shot might put them over the hump. They're a long ways away. I mean, if they would have had Cole, let's live in the woods, right? Yep. And it's just they're just not good enough. And that's your team's doing all right.
Yeah, the Brewers are looking good right now. Yeah. I've been very happy. Let's say put it that way. Yeah. What's your favorite hockey team?
I am by default. I'm a Toronto Maple Leafs guy, and it actually worked out well because my wife's originally from Toronto, so she's a Leafs fan as well. But my cousin, when I was a kid, Bill Derlago played for the Leafs. Nice. So when I was about 6 or 7 years old, we used to go to the games up in Calgary and Edmonton, and get to go downstairs and into the dressing room and stuff. So I've been a Leafs fan for forever, and it's just they break my heart every year, and it's just and it's kind of at a point now you don't want them to win. Because now we can just be miserable. It's like, all right, well, yeah. Then you're mad about it. I don't know what we would do if they actually won. I don't know because my father-in-law, he's a huge Leafs fan, but I think he gets more joy out of them losing, so he can keep being miserable.
Sure,
like it's just funny, is it? But no, I'm a big Leafs guy. And they're just not good. It's just.
How does everybody take it up there when someone from Florida wins the Stanley Cup? Like, is that
they don't deserve it? They don't deserve it. Well, who does? Right? Who does? Like it doesn't hurt. Like and most of a lot of players are Canadian anyways, so it doesn't really matter. Like like the Kachuk boys, they grew up because their dad played in Winnipeg. So the Kachuk boys, they basically grew up around Canada anyways. So I don't like it. But I get it. Like if somebody said here's $8 million instead of 12 to play in Florida, no one knows who you are. Nobody cares who you are. You just got to play, and then you can go and do whatever you want to do all year long. Nobody knows who you are. That's no taxes and on it goes. Yeah, that's a no-brainer to go down there. Why they haven't won more is a mystery. Yeah. Like I think now that all the players are kind of figuring this out, like, hey, I can play here, and we're good, and. Yeah, no, it's crazy.
All right. And this is going to be, for some people, this would be tough. I don't know if it will be for you or not. But I want to get your Mount Rushmore. So your top 4 all-time Major League Baseball players.
Okay, ones that I like doing these, but I like doing ones that I saw. Right. Okay. Like that I got to watch because what do I know about Babe Ruth? Nothing. Sure. Like okay, I got it. Yeah. But like I said earlier on, I'm going to put guys that I'm putting Ricky Henderson on there for sure. Ricky did it all. He hit for power. He liked himself. He was a great soundboard. The way he stole bases and just his swagger was enough for me. So Ricky Henderson is on there for sure. Then I'm going to throw, and this one's going to throw you for a loop a little bit, but a pitcher by the name of, and he wasn't by no means but I thought he was, as a kid, like we only used to get Jays games up here, right? On CBC was all we would get. And before we get the NBC game of the week, and that was it. Like there just wasn't regional coverage. So, but a pitcher by the name of Dave Steeb, and that pitch for the Jays back in the 80s and into the 90s, he wasn't a part of their championship team, but he was close to no hitters all the time, and he was just a shutdown starter for the Jays forever. He would be on there for sure for me. Another one, let's see, let's go on to obviously I'm going to put Derek Jeter on there because the winning he did with the Yankees over the years, and just how great he was for that team, and just the face of the franchise, I guess. So that's 3. And this one's going to be an unpopular opinion with one of your co-hosts over there, but Barry Bonds. Okay. I think it's just the guy was the round ball, round bat. You got to hit it square. Was it enhanced? Maybe a little bit, but Bonds was so good. Yeah. Like when you're getting intentionally walk with bases loaded, you're doing something right. Right. And how he was just such a, like, you take out the whatever happened there with the Velcro and the cream and whatever it was. When he was just in Pittsburgh, how good was he? MVPs already. And so Bonds to me, like, and he did some allegedly, right? But he did some nefarious things, but I think Bonds has to be on there. And it's too bad that all that stuff has to be out there, and people forget about how good these players are. Yeah. I mean, it's unfair, but I don't want to say they were all doing it, but there was a good percentage that were, right? And so was every pitcher on it? No. Were some? Yes. So it was juice against juice, I guess you could say. Yeah. But Bonds to me has to be on there.
Well, and you cannot deny baseball was dying when Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa stepped up. And that's what brought me back into baseball. As a kid, I was like, the strike, I didn't understand it truly, but I was like, I'm not going to watch baseball anymore. That's stupid, And then all of a sudden, Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa are cranking home runs, and then Bonds right after, It saved baseball. It brought a lot of people in that had kind of just given up on it. And I think it was huge. I think Bonds, you're right. Before he was juiced, he was great. While he was juiced, he was great. And he was certainly hitting against guys who were taking advantage of some things also. Like there were very few innocent people in that era of baseball.
Still got to hit it. You still got to hit it. I mean, I mean, you put Hulk Hogan and he was juicing. Is he going to hit it? No. Right. So you still got to hit it. It's pretty simple. Yeah.
I love it. Brent, this has been a lot of fun, man. Tell everybody, like I said, some people are already faithful listeners to your show, but there might be some that are being introduced to you today. So tell everybody about how they can find your show, best places to find it, times to find it, all that good stuff, and where they can follow you on socials.
Yeah, social media _1420. I'm more of a Twitter guy for some reason. I don't know what. I forget about Instagram. I put stuff up there. I don't know what I'm doing half the time. Yeah. But more of a Twitter guy, and I get up on Facebook because my mom's on Facebook, so she wants to make sure that I'm still doing it. So that's one of those things. But it's at 1420, and then I'm up. Put stuff up on the Belly Up YouTube channel all the time, and we have our own YouTube channel as well. But we're pretty active, and it's not we don't just talk baseball and hockey. We delve into all different kinds of sports, and the thinking man's way of things. We won't break down stats and stuff for you, but we just try to have like you would in your own sports bar with your buddies, having a few beers and talking about sports and things that we love, and interaction with people is always welcome. Whether you think we're right or you think we're wrong, just make sure you tell us, because that adds to everything. That adds the fun of it all, right? So there it is.
I love it. He's Brent Radlinsky from the 1420 Sports Podcast. Great stuff. Consistently having guests on the show, talking about all kinds of stuff. It's a lot of fun. Hopefully you'll tune into it. You can find him and more information about his show on bellyupsports.com, as well as all kinds of other programs on Belly Up Sports as well, right there on the website. So hopefully you'll check that out, and the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel as well. This has been another edition of Mic Check. We sure appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll be back next week with another guest to test out the mics. But until then, we hope you have a wonderful week.